from A Girl in Her Wool. Welcome back. Nacho's just about to jump on up here. Maybe he's walking around. Anyway, there's his fluffy tail. Anyway, today's post is going to be all about my current whip. So it's a Whip Wednesday post. And here he is. Hi, Nacho. Are you my first whip? Or you just like to smell my scarf? Okay. Fluffy tail and all. Okay, so today's gonna be a whip post, meaning that I'm gonna show you all my current works in progress. And I have been pretty monogamous lately, and so I don't have too many whips to show you, but I'm going to do some project planning and show you some yarn that I've picked out for some upcoming projects and let you know what I have kind of coming up. So let's get started. So my first work in progress is technically mostly finished, and these are, I have not cut the ends off the ball, so they are still there, but these are my Vista Dyeworks socks that I am knitting for my husband's dad, and they are all done. I have to finish weaving in the ends. I just have the two last ends to weave in and wash them, and then I guess mail them. So again, I knit these socks toe up, 2 at a time, magic loop. This is Vista Dyeworks socks yarn in the Silver Linings Playbook colorway. And for the heel and the cuff, I did a contrasting black yarn, which is Valley Yarns. It's the Huntington base and just the black colorway. So I knit my husband a pair of socks. I probably mentioned this before, but I knit my husband a pair of socks out of this yarn, and my husband likes short socks, so pretty much about the same as what these look like. And so out of the leftovers, I knit his dad a pair. Brian was wearing these socks, and his dad said, I like that color. So I said, okay, I will do that color. So because I was kind of using leftovers, I really should have done the toe in the black. Nacho loves to lay on my projects. Nacho, wait, stay there. Yeah, that's not gonna work. So because I had the leftovers, I really should have done the toe in the black also, but I didn't. So I have probably 2 inches of leg and then a 2-inch cuff. So this is just a vanilla pattern. It's a regular toe, fish lips kiss heel, and then a 2x2 rib. And that's it. The first row is just knit around in the black, so I didn't get the pearl bumps from the rib. And really that's it. And then I use the very pink, very stretchy bind off. So that is it, and those are finally done. These should have been done so long ago, but I don't know, I just lost a lot of sock mojo, and it might be coming back. I don't remember if I talked about this, but I've been knitting a lot of socks magic loop. So when I do magic loop, I tend to do 2 at a time, and what I love about that is that you don't have to worry about the socks matching. Everything's going at the same time, so you don't have to line your socks up or know when to change the heel or anything like that. And you're also, I feel like it turns it into one project, whereas with socks, when you do 1 at a time, you finish one and then you just basically are knitting the same thing again. And when you do 2 at a time, it turns it into one project. And so I tend to do 2 at a time when I do magic loop. And I think just because the feet are long and it just felt like it was taking forever, I just wasn't super into it, but they're done. And yeah, so I think doing socks now on double points, I really like doing DPNs, even though then I have to do it 1 at a time. I still like doing DPNs better, and so I'm gonna see if knitting a pair of socks on DPNs helps me get some mojo back. I also think it's okay to not have sock mojo. I knit a lot of pair of socks last year doing the self-striping club and kind of some others along the way, and so yeah, I think it's okay to want to knit and just knit on something else, but at the same time, socks are just so easy to have going around, and we go to a lot of movies, and I like having socks to work on there. I did work on my pavement sweater a lot at the movies recently, which helped because I didn't have to have so many socks on the needles. But you'll see some projects that I'm planning are socks, and I definitely have to plan to cast on another sock soon, or plan on some movie theater project, which I'll talk a little bit about later. So yeah, so those socks are done mostly. I just have to finish the ends. And then my second project it's like a surprise when I open it, even though I was just working on this 5 minutes ago. Okay, so my second project is new. You wouldn't have seen this last week, although I think I talked about planning to cast it on. And this is the 103 hat by Jennifer Lassonde, also known as Boston Jen. And the yarn I'm using is agirlandherwool on the DK base in the Graffiti colorway. And if you've been tuning in, you've been hearing a lot about it. I kind of showed dyeing it. It's a deep dark charcoal gray with spots of turquoise and gold and some rust in there. So here's the hat, so you can see more of the detail and the color. So it really does look like a dark hat. Like I think, I think either a male or a female could wear this hat just fine, in terms of that colorway kind of being a good unisex color. And the pattern is really, it definitely has a good texture pattern, but it went so quick. I cast this on Thursday, and today is Saturday. So I worked on this for like one lunch break, commuting yesterday, and last night, and I am in the middle of the crown decreases. So yeah, the hat's almost done, and I'm using this mostly as a shop sample, but the hats that I have, one is a lighter color and one of them is a blue, so I thought this would be a good, darker, more neutral color to wear. So yeah, you can see the needles. I'm just finishing up that crown in there, and it's like a good size for me. It's covering my ears pretty good, and yeah, my alien antennas on top. So yeah, so this project, my goal was to finish it this weekend, even though I cast it on Thursday, and I think that's not going to be a problem. This is going to be done today. I don't know, I did a few rows of the crown already, so I think I have like maybe 8 rows left, and they get smaller and smaller. So yeah, so that's the Graffiti hat, so that will be a finished object soon. And that's really all that I've worked on in the past week. My other projects on the needles is my escarpment cowl, which is my sit and stitch project, but last week I brought my little tune sweater to work on because I really needed to get that sample done. So I didn't work on my escarpment cowl last week, but I'll probably plan to bring it tomorrow. So yeah, I'll make progress on that. And then other whips would just be, I have my northeasterly blanket, and that is my before bed. I showed that last week. I probably won't show it too much until it's more noticeable, or until it's done. It's just gonna be a lap blanket, so I'm not gonna do too much more on it. And then I have my my crochet scrap blanket, my neat ripple blanket, which I don't think I've talked about yet for you guys, but I will be. I'm gonna be doing a highlight, because that's kind of part of a bigger 2020 project that I'm working on. Okay, so now for some other stuff, I'm gonna show you some plans that I have going on. Okay, so I have a big old pile of yarn here, and you probably have noticed I'm working on a lot of shop samples, and part of that is because my shop is still pretty new and I just don't have the samples knit up yet. Of course, I brought over a big pile of yarn. Nacho is now interested, so he's gonna try and come on up here and I'm gonna cover it. There's another reason why I'm doing a lot of shop samples, which I plan to announce very soon because it's coming up quickly, but that will be in a different video, or check Instagram and my blog for those details. But so a few of these skeins are still my yarn, but I'm also going to talk a little bit, just because for the next month that's going to be the focus of my knitting, and then I'll talk through a little bit about my stash plans and other 2020 projects. Okay, so that's kind of just like the why you're going to see a lot of a girl in her wool yarn. But later today I will be dyeing up some yarn for this first project. So I'm going to knit up Joji Locatelli's 2-color socks, and I'm going to be knitting them out of Pebbles in the River, which is a deep dark teal, blue teal with a lot of brown speckling and then like peachy pink speckling too. And I'm gonna pair that up with Love at First Sight, which is a white base with a lot of blue and pink speckles and gray, blue, pink, and gray speckles on it. And I just love these two yarns together, and I know. Anyway, I'm going to be knitting on the 2-colored socks with these. If you check my blog, I did a post maybe even a month ago at this point on 50-gram skeins and what to do with them. I actually just sold out of my 50-gram skeins of each of these colors, so I do plan on restocking those. And I'm going to use a 50-gram skein of each to knit those socks. So it's just a good idea of if you want to buy 50-gram skeins and what can you do with them. One of them is these socks. Okay, so that's going to be my next cast on. Like I said, I'm going to dye these up today and then they'll dry. So I'll finish up the hat today and then probably cast these on tonight or tomorrow. And then I have one more shop sample that I have planned. I'm also going to be casting on a shift along hat, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and that is in her kind of like shift along night shift series. She did like a sweater, a shawl, and now a hat. I think there are others that you might have for her shift pattern stitch. Anyway, I'm going to be doing the hat version, which I think is DK. So I think I'm going to have this on DK. But okay, so this is my Faerie Shadow colorway, which is my newest colorway, and it's purples and like a blue, green and gray and black colorway. But I also have a gradient set, and I have a 10 skein gradient set and a 5 skein gradient set, which I'm currently sold out of, but again, I'll be redying soon. So my plan is to use the 5 skein gradient set to use as the contrast color, so kind of like the slip stitches that show gradiating throughout the hat. And then I have here 3 choices for the main color, and I will probably decide which one I want to use when I have the gradient set up and I'm ready to cast on, because again, I don't have it in person to compare, but I have the color here. So I do love, this is Black Hole. It's just a tonal black, essentially, paired with Faerie Shadow. So that's one option. But I just, because of how the 5 skein is, there are darker colors in it, and I'm not sure how the dark will look with some of those tones. And also my concern with doing the black is that I'm knitting that graffiti hat, and I kind of want a different look to not have 2 dark hats as a sample. So I also thought about shady, which I think these two go really well together if you want subtle contrast, but I think for that pattern I might need more contrast. Again, once I have the gradient, I'll do a fair assessment of shady. Shady is a tonal gray because this is kind of not truly representative of what the gradient will look like, especially with the two outer skeins in there. And so if I don't love that, then my fallback plan is Overnight Oats, which is one of my favorite neutrals, and I think that will look really good. For a hat, for me, I'm not sure, but as a shop sample, I think it'll look really good. So once I have that dyed up, I'll probably blog about how I decide to do it, so check that out. Okay, so after those two projects, I'll really be done with shop samples for a little bit, but one other thing I like to do in my shop is to have swatches. So if you go to my listings and you click through the pictures, for a lot of my listings, you'll see a little swatch. So if you go online, you'll see swatches. So I knit these little squares. I think they're, I don't know, and I just do little squares. So that's one thing to know. These swatches are knit back and forth. So I knit these little squares, and really it's just so you can see how the colors will play. So this is my Girl on Fire colorway. This is my Frozen colorway, which is teals and blues and purples. This is Overnight Oats actually, so you'll see how that knits up. And here's the skein of it. Here are, I don't know, just some other ones. This is my Fourth and Gold colorway. So I have some of these swatches here, and it's been a while because I've been working on some other things. I just haven't gotten around to them recently. I also will use the needles that my socks were on that I was knitting, and those just took way longer than I thought. So when I dye up my ready to ship skeins, I will also dye up a little 5-gram mini. And so this is actually Berry Pie, and this is Love at First Sight. And so that's going to be my movie theater knitting for the time being, is to just get some of these colorways knit up. I have new colorways, and just everything that I have in stock, I want one of these swatches up, so that way when you're shopping you can see what the colorways will look like. Yeah, so that will be my movie theater knitting for now. Once I get caught on that, I'll switch back to socks, but I think it'll be a good break from finishing that last pair of socks. I'm going to be knitting those Ho-He socks, and so I don't want to really start another pair of socks, so the swatches will be good movie theater knitting. Okay, and then my other upcoming project is going to be another sweater for myself. So I have, I don't keep much sweater quantities in my stash. I do have one, and my stash, the video I keep referring to that will come up, that's what the video is going to be on, is my stash. I really don't keep much yarn. My yarn is all kept in these shelves, but there's really not that much in there. So I'll do a little tour of that and show you kind of plans for all of the skeins. So I do have one sweater quantity in my stash that I need to knit up, but I had some issues with it in terms of I bought yarn for a specific pattern, which is how I typically shop, but I couldn't get gauge to work out, so I need to find another pattern for that. Haven't gotten there yet. So in the meantime, what I'm holding here is a skein of Gynx yarns, and it's one of her self-striping colorways. And just so you know, Gynx yarn, Laura, the dyer, she's no longer dyeing anymore, and when she announced that, I had never bought her yarn before because I'm relatively new to knitting, and yeah, so while she had her last shop update, I got this skein and I got her gingerbread self-striping colorway, and I think that was at the end of 2018. And then in 2019 I did that self-striping Desert Vista Dyeworks club, so I didn't want to knit the 2 self-striping colorways I got from Gynx yarns. So what I'm going to do is actually, and this is the Power Sock base, which is a BFL and nylon base, and it is Winter Wonderland is the colorway, and it's 7 rows of blue, 7 rows of light gray. So it just alternates between a tonal blue, it's not definitely not a solid blue, tonal blue and a gray. And I'm going to do a sock arms out of this yarn. So if you haven't seen a sock arm sweater, it's a solid, or it's really whatever you want for the sweater, and then the sleeves are self-striping. And so this will be for the sleeves, and then I was thinking I might do my shady color for the sweater. We'll see. Maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I'll just do black. Ooh, a black sweater. That would actually look really cool. That would make the sleeves really pop. So after the shop samples are done, this will definitely be a cast on. I haven't looked at the pattern to see if the body has shaping or not, or I can decide if I want to do shaping or not, and then maybe that would become movie theater knitting. We'll see. So that is all I had planned to talk through today. Again, I don't have too many whips, which means that I am spending a lot of time planning, which you can see. So thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you're working on, what plans you have, how you go about planning. Do you pick a pattern first? Do you pick yarn first? Do you shop from stash? Do you buy based on your pattern? Let me know, and I will see you next time. Bye!